The question is, what's the real story about why their pocketbook looks the way it does?
Isn't that sort of the funniest part of this, this affordability ruse that the Democrats are pretending they care about? Because when asked, does the Biden administration bear some responsibility for the inflation that's happened in the country and rising prices and that sort of thing? Well, you're not talking about prices at the grocery store. You're not talking about money in the pockets of American families. Your first talking point is electric vehicles.
Dude, you're wrong. Right. You're right about that.
Their economic vision doesn't work.
No,
that's the bottom line.
Absolutely,
it's created problems time after time. So we're going to give you the truth about where things actually sit.
And here we are a year later, after they lied to you, and they expect us to believe that they have the solution. They ruined it.
You have to give people a reason to believe things are getting better. And everything that we just went through are those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You're not making it up. The data's all there.
I've worked at Coca-Cola for 21 years.
We're delivering Dr. Pepper from our brand new facility in Dallas, Texas.
We're really proud to still make Pepsi products in America.
You don't need a college degree to work here, but I put 4 kids through college by working here.
This is a great place to work with great people and great American brands.
Grocery stores, convenience stores, restaurants, they all depend on us.
We deliver great paying jobs.
We deliver beverages people love.
We deliver for our community.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
A very good Thursday to all of you. Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety Program. I am Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug Michael Duncan and John Ashbrook, left to right across your radio dial as always. I don't know if you all have noticed, but some folks have taken leave of their senses. And, there's a bit of a debate about the status of the economy here in the United States of America and how we got to this particular place and what we're doing going forward. And I can't get enough of it, fellas. It is fantastic. Now, you saw President Trump go to Pennsylvania this week to begin what the White House is categorizing as a full court press on talking about the economy, traveling around the country, making sure everybody understands. And the reason why that's necessary, unbelievably, is because Democrats, after shutting down the government for, 50 days?
Mm.
Yep.
It was at least that, right?
Unprecedented.
Longest ever.
They decided to pop out the back end of that and start talking about affordability.
I got to congratulate them on finding religion. It only took them 5 years. You know?
That's the hilarity to this whole thing. Recall that shutdown in and of itself was about how Republicans were responsible for Obamacare.
Mm-hmm.
Or so that's the way that they framed it. And then they pop out of that and they're like, well, what about the prices?
Mm-hmm.
What about, how do we get all of this inflation?
Mm-hmm.
As if $6 trillion going to Green New Deal scams and fraud and state and local slush funds and all of that stuff didn't contribute. Was it 19% that it hit at the high inflation rate?
9.1.
9.1.
Or 9.1. And then it was at one point, it was like 13 mid-quarter. And we all know how we got there. The problem is in politics is not everybody listens to the Ruthless Variety Program.
Mm-hmm.
We should change that. When you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety Program and urge all of your friends to do so.
You can change that.
You can change that. We wouldn't have to have a debate about how we got all this inflation if you just listened, because we've been covering this fairly diligently.
Sure have.
Haven't we, fellas?
Yeah. Sure have.
Well, Democrats are banking on people not listening to the Ruthless Variety Program. And one of our favorites who has not been on in a while, but this guy is hilariously out of touch with everything. He's the governor of Kentucky. Recall, Democrats have had exactly one W in a red state in years. And this was in Kentucky, where Andy Beshear, who I think fancies himself as sort of like a presidential contender in 2028.
Well, and the Democrats have seen him as a rising star. I believe at one point he gave a keynote, the response to the State of the Union back in the Trump.
Yeah.
So this is their A1A, most qualified guy.
Yeah.
To go out there and talk about stuff.
Well, he's like that, but he's like, it fits into that Tim Walz category. He's like, oh, he's a regular guy.
Yeah.
Except
this is also kind of like a problem where, I mean, this is also kind of like a problem where, you know, you have to you get red states, solid rock, ruby red states, and then they elect like a Democrat governor, and so every Democrat starts thinking like, is this guy presidential material? North Carolina suffers the same kind of problem. Beshear's the latest that they're trying to be like, maybe he could be the one.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Smash?
I was just going to say that we all know the ruse, and we were talking about it before the show. The ruse is that Democrats will put somebody who seems moderate forward, and then while that person is in front of the cameras, Elizabeth Warren's entire staff is stealing your money,
you're right.
raising prices, and ruining health care. This is how Democrats operate.
They're the salesmen.
Exactly.
Dude, you're right.
And then, meanwhile, the sale is being manipulated.
They did it to great effect during the Biden administration, and we're still suffering from the consequences, and they're trying to do it again. And who knows who they put up in 2028? Maybe it's Andy Beshear. Maybe Andy Beshear only gets the number 2 job. Maybe he's simply a spokesperson for whatever lib they put forward. But the reality is that Democrats will continue to ruin this country, and that's why everybody needs to listen to the show like the Ruthless Variety Program to get the actual
Can I ask you a
facts.
question, because it maybe falls into a category that you've covered here before, Johnny? Did they do it in secret?
They do, and they get away with it. Every single time.
They do it in secret. So have a look at this guy, Andy Beshear, clip 1.
Does the former administration deserve at least some of the criticism?
Well, the former administration was attempting to build the economy of tomorrow, investing in really important industries like EVs, in chips, in areas for our national security that we've got to catch up with the rest of the world.
Were they successful
at
that, Governor?
Have said that the Biden administration was building the economy of tomorrow, focused on EVs, chips, and other areas that we
Dude, that's amazing.
catch up in
It's almost like
for
AI.
our own national security. But our families, we're saying we need the economy of right now.
Our families.
Now, wages were catching up to inflation.
Dude, that's amazing.
And this
He, like,
president,
glitched.
President Trump,
Yeah.
is
Right
going
back to
to
it.
inherit a good, healthy economy.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, let me
Dude,
just
that
say-
is brutal. I mean, you guys, when we were putting this together, you guys were like, no, you really have to see it. That guy, I mean, how did he win? Talk about a talentless hack.
I mean, remarkable that you get that record skip, when
Seriously.
and then he just goes right back to the talking point, the economy of tomorrow, the economy of the future, and then the exact same talking points on EVs.
We do not live in a world where that's acceptable. We don't. We no longer live in a world where you can be interrupted and then skip the record back like an old school 1970s record and then start over again and think that's going to be an acceptable answer.
Yeah, Democrats are incapable of having a real conversation with anybody because the way they have been trained is to interact with reporters who are better writers for Democrat advancement than they are themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, they are interacting with their own party on a daily basis. Every time they call the New York Times or CNN or Washington Post, they're literally calling press secretaries who are paid for by a different employer.
Wait, isn't that sort of the funniest part of this, this affordability ruse that the Democrats are pretending they care about? Because when asked, does the Biden administration bear some responsibility for the inflation that's happened in the country and rising prices and that sort of thing? Well, you're not talking about prices at the grocery store. You're not talking about money in the pockets of American families. Your first talking point is electric vehicles.
Dude, you're wrong.
Right.
You're right about that.
And trying to catch up to the rest of the world, like everybody in China is driving around in an electric vehicle.
And we just covered that they'd spent $5 million per postal service electric car that are just sitting there, and it's amazing. You're 100% right. They don't actually have any solutions. They're the ones who caused the problem, and now they're like a deer in headlights trying to be like, doesn't the Biden administration deserve responsibility for what they've done? Amazing.
Also, not for nothing, knowing a little something about the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the largest employer in that state, a victim of the EV mandates.
Mm-hmm.
They make hybrids.
Yeah.
They were not fans.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not even like he's representing his own people when he's doing those talking about. That's the talking point they came up with. That we're like, no, this will shred it.
Yeah.
This is good. No, it's things like electric vehicles. Well, look, he's like one of many, one of the more compliant sort of folks out there. When you go to D.C. and you catch some of these people, it's unbelievable. Amy Klobuchar, clip 2.
Republicans can't kick this problem down the road to January. It's not a January problem. It's not a February problem. It's a now problem. So we have once again offered a straightforward solution. Obviously, there's many more things we would do to reform our healthcare system and make it more affordable. But right now, to stem this disaster and crisis that Donald Trump has created by refusing to do anything.
It's called Obamacare.
The tax credits for the Affordable Care Act. We are saying right now we can do this.
I just want to be totally clear with people, because sometimes this gets lost in rhetoric. She's talking about an affordability crisis, about a healthcare system that she voted for along with every other Democrat, which Republicans unanimously said it would break the marketplace and create higher priced healthcare, break the healthcare system.
Pretty simple argument.
It did it over a course of 9-10 years. At the end of the 9 and 10 years, they saw an opportunity with COVID, where it's a healthcare issue. And so they're like, I don't know, on a partisan basis, now that we've controlled the government again, we're going to subsidize the shitty thing that we put in place that hasn't worked for 10 years. And we're going to throw more taxpayer dollars, but we're going to take out the middleman on this sucker. We're going to just send all that money directly to the insurance companies, and I am absolutely certain those premiums will come down as a result. So they did it, and it was a 3-year deal. And your premiums escalate. If they're anything like the premiums that we all signed off on in October,
God, they've gone up.
They went up 35%. And like many of you have been wrestling with this for the better part of 15 years. And this lady has got the balls.
The nerve of these people.
The brass balls.
The balls to say in one sentence that we need to fix our healthcare system because Donald Trump broke it. Our healthcare system is Obamacare. We would like to find a lot of ways to reform this system and make it more affordable. Again, you called it the Affordable Care Act. But it's his fault that he won't renew these subsidies for this system we set up.
So the whole thing is built on intellectual dishonesty, right? When it comes to affordability, and you hear Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have done great quotes of this over the last, where it's almost like a sociopathic inability to recognize what they have done to create a crisis and an economic crisis, and then just sort of lay it at the feet of Donald Trump. Well, there are a few intellectually honest Democrats out there. They just happen to be the left-wing lunatics who just want a single-payer healthcare system where you go do the same thing that happens in Great Britain with the NHS, where you wait for 4 months to get a surgery because you're in line behind the homeless guy and you can't get care anywhere. That's why they all come here, by the way. That's why they all come. If you're ever at Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, or any place, you're in line, where you're looking at in the waiting room is a bunch of Saudi princes. They come here because they can't deal with their own nationalized health care. But Bernie Sanders has a little bit of intellectual honesty. Clip 3.
The truth of the matter is, before the big, beautiful bill, our healthcare system was a disaster. It is dysfunctional. And the American people and Democrats have got to deal with the fact.
He's right. Yeah, it is dysfunctional. They made it.
They created it, right? Because Bernie back in the day was arguing for a single-payer health care.
Well, that's the thing. It's the only people that can be honest in the Democratic Party who are the people who are it didn't go far enough. It didn't break the system enough.
And that's the thing, is it was all by design. When you had Pelosi and these Democrats say, well, you have to vote for it to know what's in it, is because the intent of Obamacare was to break the system to the point that they get exactly what they wanted: full government control. They wanted to. There was a system that they had in place where, I don't know about this marketplace we already have. What if we made it so that Americans don't have an option, and then it falls apart, and so then everyone's like, well, we got to do something. Public option.
Yeah,
that's what this is. Bernie himself is right there, just basically saying, "Come on, guys, it's time for full communism now. When are you going to get on board?" It's because they broke it because they've always wanted this.
This is but we're living under it. Whether it is an affordability issue, or whether it is a healthcare issue that has prompted your concern, they built those things. And I hate the fact that we have to keep coming back. I don't like retrospective messaging at all. But we can't establish a common set of facts about how you are where you are. You have to do it before you talk prospectively. Because it's not like you can push a button and change everything about the economy. It's an ocean liner.
Right.
It takes a while to turn these things.
Right. And the sales pitch, if you remember, was that this would bend the cost curve down.
That was it.
That's what
what
they said.
an absolute lie. They knew it was a lie at the time. Everybody who wrote the stories about it knew it was a lie at the time, but they wrote it anyway. They said that you could keep your doctor. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. How many people listening to this show are still able to see the same doctors they saw before 2009? I would bet not very many. It is a terrible system. They forced it upon you, and they told you to like it. And every single year, let's not pretend this is the first time premiums have gone up.
Oh, no,
every single year they've gone up and gone up and gone up. And guess what? They were way too high in 2009 to begin with.
Yeah.
Way too high to begin with. So it's only made it worse, only made it unaffordable to the point where people are like, don't even know what to do. You know,
And it's crookeder than a mountain road, too. I mean, the whole thing is wired end to end with Democratic interest groups and health insurance companies that own the middlemen, whether they're PBMs or everything. I mean, the whole thing is just, it's a broken damn system. Republicans came up with an alternative that we're going to talk about more in another show that I think is definitely worth examining. But that's where we're at with healthcare. Meanwhile, somewhere we can tell you exactly what this looks like because we've lived in these rooms, in some like conference room in the Rayburn building or in the Hart building, there are a group of like 25-year-old bespectacled, like privileged left-wing coastal elites that are sitting around because daddy got an internship where they've stuck around and now they're part of the system. They're so smart and they've got everything to say about this stuff. They're thinking about the messaging. How do we message all this? Because affordability, if we hit them on this, we can end the Trump presidency. Mm-hmm. Well, I've got an idea. Let's put out a graphic. Here's graphic one. What they're doing here is the Senate Majority PAC is the chief super PAC in charge of Senate Democrat reelection and election prospects. What they're doing is, and this is as it reads for our audio-only listeners, let's be honest for a second. Republicans don't care about the price of beef because they don't answer to working Americans. And then they put a graphic of the price of beef. What you'll notice, unless you are blind, I'm sorry, Smug, that was a slight.
Even I can see.
Very, very ableist of you, Josh.
Is that the price of beef skyrocketed in the 4 years that Joe Biden was president of the United States. There is basically nothing on the graph associated with Donald Trump's tenure at this point. This is the kind of shit that we're dealing with. They can't even read their own. This is their own propaganda. Mm-hmm. They can't even get that right. Like, they don't have an argument. They're just counting on blind, partisan, echo chamber shit that they can force into the mainstream where people have an argument because they don't like Donald Trump. Because they don't have an argument.
Right, and which I think is just underscores the importance of telling the actual story that led up to this situation, because you're not going to get that in a newspaper. The newspaper is going to write it the way that Democrats want it written. I do not remember the New York Times breathlessly covering insurance premium hikes every single October over the last few years. They're only talking about it now that Democrats want a talking point. Literally, they're working in tandem as they have always done. And so if you do not go back and look at the history that created the situation that we're in right now, you are doing yourself a disservice.
Well, and that's what they would do to us, right? I mean, like, how many times did Barack Obama sit there on stage or in an interview or on a town hall and say, we inherited the worst mess since the Great Depression?
Every time.
And how many times did Joe Biden say the same thing coming out of COVID?
Every time.
You can only look at the situation we're in today in the context of $7 trillion being pumped in the American economy by something called the Inflation Reduction Act that didn't reduce inflation.
Right.
And that was passed by Joe Biden when he was president of the United States. And Republicans have too often, because they're often hired as the people to fix the economy, shy away from that fact. And like, you just can't, because the American electorate has a recency bias. It's always, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
Right? And that's why a lot of the stuff the Democrats have been so successful with over many years, in that they can just lay everything at the feet of the people who are in charge today. And so it's incumbent on Republicans and Donald Trump to get on the same page here with how we message and talk about affordability.
And they got to fight this thing to the hilt. I'll be honest. Like, if there's one area where you're going to break your pick, this is it. Midterm elections are almost always about the economy. And the idea that you're going to allow a bunch of Democrats who systematically ruined healthcare and the pocketbooks of most Americans to frame a debate about affordability. I mean, if you're going to do that, you give it all away. Give it all away. And the answer is never socialism light. I love some of these ideas that come out of here. They're like, oh, well, what we need to do is take taxpayer money and then we need to buy a bunch of houses and give these 30-year ARM mortgages or 50-year mortgages or whatever the fuck it is that they come up with. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, that's the way to affordability. No, you're just doing what Democrats do. You're just trying to rebrand it in some ways. Like what you've done with the tax rate. I wish the tax rates were a lot lower than they were. I think they had an opportunity with the big beauty to bring those fuckers down a lot further than they did. But this is where they landed. I'm happy that they landed somewhere. It's certainly better than the alternative. And where it is, it gives businesses and people a chance to plan. And when you give businesses and people a chance to plan, you give people economic growth prospects, wage increases. Business planning allows for investment. Things that are happening now under the economy that, by the way, when you have an investment, it's not like you just say investment and a fucking factory appears next to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Press the internet button.
Just press it.
It takes like 5 years to build the thing and get it filled and get the stuff going. It takes a while to get that stuff happening. Right. But when it starts happening, you see the dividends. And Donald Trump talks a lot about tariffs. I understand it's an incredibly divisive issue, even within Republican confines, where we're talking about the deals that he's doing overseas. Well, some of the deals that he's done have come to fruition. And if these deals continue to come to fruition, you're going to see a better deal for the American worker. I'm not a huge fan of tariffs, even as leverage. Like, I just don't think it's like the greatest tool. But like what he did with the ag community this week is a pretty good example. So he's tariffing the hell out of people who buy agricultural goods. They stopped buying a lot of agricultural goods as a result of that because it's too expensive. But the things that they do buy is tariff the hell out of it. You got a pot of money. They use the pot of money to pay back the agriculture community that is getting a loss of revenue because of the tariff in the first place. It's a net zero. You can't like say that there is a economic impact. The government's in the middle of it, which is I don't like. That's why I'm not a fan of this whole thing. And I don't think it's sustainable over time because I think a market actually is better made. I mean, turns out that's like the core of our economy. I think it's better made to deal with that kind of thing. But that's not like blaming those things for what's happening is an insane thing, particularly from a bunch of people who championed tariffs for the last 25 years. Democrats.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like each one of these things is a lie.
And ruined our economy systematically, starting with I mean, we just talked about it, but starting with Obamacare and then under Biden, during the Biden era, I don't think everybody even understands how much damage they did to this country.
Can we get graphic to it real quick? Even if you're blind like me, this makes it a lot clearer. When we're just talking about ground beef prices, we thought it would be important to highlight here so you can actually see when you've got Obama and Biden, that's when you've seen movement on that graph. And for Democrats, basically to try to blame Trump and throw Trump under the bus for this, well, this is their same playbook. They try to take power again. They try to pass their stupid shit like Obama did, and it drives costs up.
Their economic vision doesn't work.
No,
that's the bottom line.
Absolutely,
it's created problems time after time. So we're going to give you the truth about where things actually sit, because they even in their shitty cherry-picked graphs that don't say what they think that they say, they're single commodities in single places. We're going to give you a better overview of where all of that is and what Donald Trump was talking about this week when we come back.
America's demand for energy is rising rapidly, and at a time when American families can least afford an energy shortage. But for decades, critical energy projects have been blocked, limiting our access to reliable, affordable American energy and putting America's energy dominance at risk. The solution is obvious. Overhaul the broken energy permitting process. Make it faster and simpler. Innovation, a strong workforce, abundant oil and gas. We have it all right here in the USA. Let's put America first and political agendas last. We can power our own country, create thousands of good-paying American jobs, and unleash American energy to be bigger and better than ever before. Because when America builds, America wins. Read API's plan to secure America's future at permittingreformnow.org. Paid for by the American Petroleum Institute.
Why was the government shut down? Because big insurance greed knows no limits. The same insurance companies pocketing billions in profits were demanding billions more in taxpayer-funded subsidies again, putting millions of families at risk, shutting down our government. Now, unless they get their billions, the big insurance companies are threatening to raise your premiums even more, putting greed and profit before patients. It's time to hold them accountable.
Okay, so where is the economy now? In real terms, in terms of what you care about. Gas prices. Most people have to deal with that kind of thing. Clip 4.
Look at this, a fresh 4.5-year low, 3.5-year low of $2.95 a gallon as of today. That is miles away from the all-time high set back in 2022 under former President Biden.
That's crazy that they put it that way. You would never expect CNN to say that.
No. How about that? It's almost like Harry Antonin. They got multiple Harrys going on over there.
They're giving everyone the sodium pentothal over there.
Yeah, right? Inflation, which we mentioned last segment, averaged 2.7% so far in Trump's second term. Averaged 5% under Biden and peaked at 9.1%.
I mean, think about the difference there. You're talking about, at worst, Trump's inflation under Trump is half of what Biden had. At best, it's a third. Like, that story. First off, the White House, they're going to be rolling out and telling this story because it's important for Americans to realize the bleeding has stopped. But that's the tricky thing with inflation, is because it's never like, oh, well, you know, I took the prices back to 1900. You can now buy a car for, $3. But under Biden, you saw this endless growth of inflation, prices skyrocketing. So the Trump administration has stopped the bleeding. And now the fact that we have, this is another important statistic, real wage growth is 4% under Trump's second term. Real wage growth is basically an indicator that wages for Americans are now outpacing inflation.
And that's the key component of this, right?
Bingo.
It's like that's what really puts dollars in your pocket, real dollars, is when the wage growth is outpacing the inflation rate.
And they fell by 1.3% under Biden. So when you felt under Biden that you weren't able to keep up, when it felt like your wages were not keeping up with inflation, that's this metric, and it's actually exceeding inflation under Trump. It was below with Biden, which is tremendous.
Just think about how dumb this debate is, then. I mean, you're telling me that real wage growth so far under Trump's second term is 4%.
Yep.
And you're telling me the entire term under Biden wages fell by 1.5%, just under 1.5%.
Yeah,
with higher inflation, so you feel poorer on both sides of the equation, right? Because things are more expensive.
So things are more expensive and your wages are less.
Right.
And these guys show up with an affordability debate.
It's bizarre.
I mean, it's like getting caught in a whorehouse and being like, oh, abstinence only, folks. Right. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, what in the... I can't believe we have to have the conversation, but we have... And the worst part is you get the process-driven media in Washington, D.C. Democrats really think they are onto something. They've tapped into a bunch of Americans who are concerned about their pocketbook. They're always concerned about their pocketbook. Everyone's concerned about their fucking pocketbook. The question is, what's the real story about why their pocketbook looks the way it does? Is it somebody whose wages fell 1.3% under Biden while you had 9.1% inflation? I mean, dude, look, I don't want to get big into math here, but that's a 10+% change in terms of what you're coming in and going out on things like groceries and rent and kids and all this shit. 10% difference than what you experienced under Joe Biden. Right. And now we have an affordability crisis?
Right. So to make this more pronounced for those folks who want something visual, I'm blind, so it's not great for me. But can we get graphic 3? This illustrates it perfectly. So the line there you're seeing that's depressed is the real wages, right? And then you're seeing prices skyrocket. That difference, that gap in between them, that's the economic pain. That's why you had an actual affordability crisis under Biden when all the Green New Deal and everything that they're pushing, the Inflation Reduction Act, which was essentially as much inflation as possible, that pushed prices up. That's why the economy was tanking and so terrible under Biden.
And if you remember, just 1 year ago, every single Democrat, including the top of their ticket, Kamala Harris, said, there's nothing wrong with prices. That's a figment of your imagination. We need to continue the Biden administration with Kamala Harris if you want to get ahead. Wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, she said that.
And here we are a year later, after they lied to you, and they expect us to believe that they have the solution. They ruined it. They expect us to forget something that they were saying, they were preaching just 1 year ago, and vote for them again. It's insanity, dude. It's absolute insanity.
I don't know how to qualify for everyone who's not like macroeconomic. I'm not, right? I don't do macro. Smug is the closest we have in this panel who understands all of this. But a 10% change in wages versus inflation over a period of 4 years under Biden and the 1 year that we've been under Trump, changing the American economy in that scale is remarkable.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable change.
Well, it is. And I mean, I think we're going to see the full benefits. And we've talked to numerous people here on the show about it who are intimately involved in the passage of the big, beautiful bill. But I think we're going to feel a lot of those economic impacts, hopefully in Q2 of next year, when people figure out what they are allowed to keep from the government.
Yeah.
You know, and then businesses can do more of that planning that you were talking about.
It's a really important part because the main crux of the big beauty was extending the tax relief that was passed in 2017, which from a political standpoint is difficult because nobody ever experienced a tax like the Democrats wanted to put on you. You're paying the same tax rate.
Right.
The difference is, and I think you heard Donald Trump speak about this week, is that there's a very, very specific blue-collar target here, whether it's no tax on tips, whether it's the Social Security tax breaks, whether it's overtime, whether it's mortgage interest deductions. All of those things come to fruition for the first time when you pay your taxes next April 15, right? So, like, you'll feel that for a whole bunch of Americans. They're going to have that. And while you've got the infrastructure laid for economic growth with a stable tax rate going into next year, that allows for economic growth and all the things that Democrats seem to hate. And I think the combination of the two is probably going to give a much better political argument, but you have to continue to beat the drum on this, which is why I think all of us were pretty excited about Donald Trump hitting the main stage for the first time this week in a long time. Kind of nice to see him out there again. Huh?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's going to be helpful. We talked about how the big beauty is going to have its effects going into next year. Mortgage rates have gone down 12% so far under President Trump. Late breaking news, the Fed just cut rates by another quarter point, so you should see mortgage rates go even further down and help make getting into the housing market more affordable for a lot of young folks, which is what we want to happen.
Yeah, I think it's important, you know, in the sales pitch of this thing, and ultimately that's what it is. This is a political question, is Republicans have to do a better job of talking about these sort of economic wins in real terms that impact people's pocketbooks and their families and things like that. Like, it's one thing to say, you know, the mortgage interest reduction or mortgage rates, but being able to say, you know, we're going to help the next generation be able to afford getting a home, which will be your largest investment in your life, is being a homeowner. Like, talking about it in those real terms, I think it personalizes it in a way for the electorate. And the reason why that's important is because, like, this whole affordability ruse of the Democrats, outside of just laying it at the feet of Donald Trump, which is fucking hilarious, is when they talk about affordability, like, you know, you look at the mayoral race in New York, and Mamdani, the way that they spin it now is he won on this affordability thing. His idea of affordability is government grocery stores and free bus rides. You know?
That's what it is.
And it's like, that ain't what we're talking about. But he's talking about stuff in a real terms way that we have to talk. And if that's the only way to win.
And it's perspective. I mean, the great challenge for every president of the United States and their party, if they're in power, is to discuss things not as this is the best thing ever now. Because no one has ever voted for now. Like the way that you look at the economy's never great in terms of your own. It could be going great, but it could be better. I mean, that's just human mentality, a voter's mentality. The way that you look at it is there's always more opportunity. There's always something else that could happen. You have to look at it prospectively. So there's a challenge from every president, not just this one who does like to sell now, is that you have to give people a reason to believe things are getting better. And everything that we just went through are those reasons. You're not making it up. The data's all there. Everything would point you in a direction to show that, provided that they continue to make deals on the tariff front, provided that all of these pieces come to fruition, you don't have some economic catastrophe in some sector that is increasingly AI or something else. All of those things point upwards, but they have to sell the future.
Yeah.
You can't sell the now.
Yeah, and it's actually one of the reasons why I'm really glad that he is going out on this barnstorming tour around the country, because the guy's very good at talking. I think he's also a very good listener, and I think that in 2024 he got better as the year went on because he was spending more time with regular people out at these rallies.
I agree with you.
And he was hearing from them
being at
what it is.
McDonald's.
Exactly. He was
100%.
hearing from them what it was that they were concerned about, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. I thought that, but now that I hear you say it, this is something that is a big priority. And I think the more he's out there and the less he's in Washington, I love the people who are around him. He's got very smart people around him, but everybody who's around him who works in Washington is part of Washington.
Right, and
the more time he spends with regular people, I think the better off we're all going to be.
You know this from Donald Trump himself. He said it many times, is like holding the rallies is his focus group.
Yeah.
That's how he message tests
Totally.
to the electorate.
Yep. Yeah, and he sees what people respond to.
Right.
But I mean, look, there's always a tendency, and I mean, it just goes back to like Bill Clinton, feel your pain type thing, is that the anxieties that underlie an electorate almost always are economic in nature. And you need to understand those, even while you know that you laid an infrastructure that's going to help with that. And, so there's a tendency to go out there and be like, look, we've done everything we need to do. We're in great shape. Especially in comparison to my predecessor, who was an abject fucking failure on all of these things. And that's not what people need to hear. What they need to hear is, no, it's coming together. We're turning the ship, and we're building, and we're doing well. And I think this is the beginning of that. You can see when we had Scalise in talking about that. What you're going to hear in our interview with Mike Rogers today, very similar in terms of forward-looking, change message, economic opportunity, stuff that you can kind of put your teeth into. That's where Republicans need to be. And if they can continue to do that, it would be in great shape. So, listen, question of the day for all of you. Every political professional in Washington, D.C. has a different idea of what economic stat is going to be most impactful in terms of the elections. It's consumer confidence, you hear people say. It's wage growth, you hear people say. Inflation's obvious. GDP, you hear some people say. That's our question of the day. For all of you,
is it mortgage rates? Is it like, what is the number you're looking at?
Unemployment rate? There's any
what
number of
is
things.
that economic stat that would be most helpful for the midterms? When you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Friday program, we'll read all of them. And this one, look, it's a little more serious than we typically do in the questions, but we're actually very interested. We read every single one. We'll get back to you the very next episode on Fun Time Friday between yucks.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that between yucks. Anyway, just remember, we're going to do 2 Q&A episodes here at the end of the year where we're going to ask and answer all of your questions that you put on that very same thing when you like and subscribe. So throw them in there. You've already started doing it.
Yeah, love to see it.
I'd love to see it. It's fantastic stuff. Continue to do that, and we're going to get back to you throughout the Christmas break on all of that. And when we come back, we're going to have your answers to the previous question of the day about Jasmine Crockett, the topic she's been this week, right after this.
Only 58% of Americans today say they're proud to be American. The lowest number ever recorded. That's not just sad, it is very dangerous, because if we forget what makes America special, we risk losing it. That's why Americans for Prosperity is launching the One Small Step campaign, a bold nationwide initiative to reconnect Americans with our founding principles that sparked unparalleled innovation and prosperity. It's not just a celebration, it's a call to action. Through the 250,000 Steps for Freedom Challenge, AFP is partnering with the grassroots in all 50 states to take meaningful steps that defend freedom and advance opportunity. Call your representative, attend a local event, knock on a door, talk to your neighbors. Every single step counts, and every step moves us closer to a more perfect union. Go to takeonesmallstep.com to learn more, then join the challenge at afpvolunteer.com.
When you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program and leave a comment on our question of the day, we read all of them. Get back to the very next episode. Our question from last episode is, what will Jasmine Crockett's campaign slogan be? Your responses were fantastic. To get back to you, we always start with a voice.
First one comes from Shiloh's mom. Shiloh's mom writes, Jasmine Just Mean Crockett, a relative of Davy, has a fight in her DNA. You don't have to be right to fight, just badder than everybody else. Queen of the wild frontier. Jasmine Crockett, born on a mountaintop of big money.
I love that.
That's such a great comment,
one.
Shiloh's mom. Thank you very much for that.
What do we got, Dunks?
This is from Michael McCready. Michael has a couple of options here. Number one, Jasmine Crockett 2026, turning innocent donors into breaking news since 2024.
Amazing.
Number two here, vote Jasmine, because accuracy is overrated and confidence is free.
Oh, that's
a good one.
Good observation.
Number three, Crockett 2026. If there's an Epstein out there, she'll find the wrong one.
Oh, that's so good.
It's funny.
Smug, what else?
Comment 3 from Tyler Williams. Tyler writes, after hundreds of thousands of dollars researching and focus grouping campaign slogans, Jasmine arrives at Crockett, motherfucker.
That's pretty good. I feel like
good.
that's her best stuff. When we come back, our signature game here in the Variety program, King of the Hill, right after this. Okay, King of the Hill. I think I'm a competitor this week. I'm going to bring the fat man, Steve Schmidt.
And I've got the reigning champion, Ron Filipowski.
Oh, it's going to be a battle. And this is the old school. This is the throwback.
Yeah, because I'm judge.
Duncan's the judge.
The original formulation of this great game.
The original formulation. Here we go.
Let's go ringside.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. It's time for King of the Hill. In the red corner, fighting out of Utah, the old fat man.
There we are.
Steve Schmidt. And now, in the blue corner, fighting from who knows where, and current champion of the world, Ron Philippa. How do you say his name? Anyhow, Filipowski.
I always want to play Steve for every game just so I can get that.
Yeah, the old fat man is
old
poetry. I'm gonna try to do a 2-round knockout. I think.
Wow.
Ron's got some good stuff.
You're not gonna be able to.
I think so. Can I get Exhibit 6? This is great because it's a throwback to what Democrats tried with J.D. Vance. This is Ron. He's retweeting, or he's quote tweeting a screenshot of Pete Hegseth's tweet where Pete Hegseth says, the Department of War will never, ever back down. America first, peace through strength, common sense for the warrior always. His response to this is, the whole cabinet is a bunch of fucking weirdos. The most common sense, literally it says common sense.
Right.
And he's like, how weird is that?
That's insane.
I'm gonna stay. I had many options, so I'm gonna stay on genre.
Okay.
In some
I
ways.
love that.
I'm gonna go with Exhibit 14, please, fellas. Here's your opportunity to call Pete Hegseth out for what he is, Secretary of War Crimes. The latest collection unveiled in the Warning Store. Click here to check it out. And he's selling fucking T-shirts. If you go to steveschmidt.com and go to the Warning Store, he'll give you a T-shirt that you can purchase and send right to his filthy pockets.
Incredible.
That say he's the Secretary of War Crimes. This is fantastic. Particularly in the back end this week, it also was noted that he's back in the super PAC game. And he's raising money from unsuspecting liberal donors to try to take out House Republicans. This man, he is relentless. But selling T-shirts from the Secretary of War Crimes from his own website store is as good as it gets.
What's the website again? The Warning Game?
The Warning with, so his podcast is called The Warning.
Oh, he's warning people
and
about
it's
things.
The Warning with Steve Schmidt. .com/collections.
Okay.
And at that point, you can get
It's been
into,
like 10 minutes so far explaining this dumb fucking tweet.
Well, you just have to
Meanwhile,
click here to check
Ron
it out.
Filipowski, short and sweet.
I think this
trying
is
to be
a
like, these guys are
no-brainer.
weirdos.
I think you're donezo.
Yeah, I think the background that Steve is back in the game with a new Democratic super PAC, and the fact that he's selling merch, but he's selling it through his Substack or podcast.
It's amazing.
I think those two things in concert ultimately tip the balance here, round one, to Holmes.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate that. I'm going to go for a 2-round knockout here because I got some high heat.
Oh, wow.
Ashbrook and I were lucky enough to attend the Kennedy Center Honors on Sunday, of which we were able to enjoy the honoring of Sylvester Stallone, a personal hero for a lot of us. Obviously, the hero Rocky, which launched his career, became
that guy's had
synonymous
so
with
many good
American
movies.
success.
American icon.
American icon, right?
Objectively speaking.
Had the full trunk, the American flag trunks, taking on everybody. This is Steve's reaction to him being honored by President Trump at the Kennedy Center Honors. Exhibit 9, please. It's important for the kids out there to remember that the better man won the fight 50 years ago.
Wow, he took the side of Apollo
If you
Creed.
know the story of Rocky, you know that Rocky won nothing. In what? He got beat by Apollo Creed on a decision. But him standing, the whole story was about him staying in the fight.
Yeah.
Right? The most inspirational tale of all time. He posts a side-by-side picture with Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed. Rocky in the like picture of the Kennedy Center Honors and Apollo Creed, and saying that the better man won 50 years ago. Of course, number one, Rocky 1, released 50 years ago.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
man.
as ridiculous as it is to take the side
That's
of Apollo Creed, I think in Exhibit 4, we see someone taking the side of someone far worse. The cartels. Ron Filipowski says the U.S. government is summarily executing people on a weekly basis without telling the American people any of their names or presenting any proof of their guilt for alleged crimes that do not carry the death penalty in the U.S. Will someone please think of the narco-terrorists? Short and sweet.
I mean, look, I like that, but the idea that you root against Rocky because he was honored by Donald Trump, I think is like...
Or root for
one
the
of the most
narco-terrorists
mind-blowing
because Trump
things
is
of all
killing
time.
him.
Well, I mean, yeah, that ultimately is the conundrum here, is like which is more offensive. It is funny, and it's been said often, that like liberals' entire understanding of politics is through the consumption of fiction. Like none of them actually know anything. It's all about like a Harry Potter movie or fucking
West
Handmaid's Tale or West Wing, and now apparently Apollo Creed deserved to win, not Rocky, which I find very funny.
I mean, rooting against Rocky is something.
Yeah, it's something.
It's something that Steve, like 10 years ago, would have been like, Rocky Balboa is synonymous with American dream.
I understand that, but like...
And then Donald Trump says...
Yeah, but at the
I
same
honor
time...
him, and he's like, no, Apollo
At
Creed
the
was the hero.
Look,
Rooting for the
I
narco-terrorists?
get it.
You can't ignore that.
But like Ron Filipowski certainly has seen the videos of these cigarette boats unloading bales of cocaine into the ocean. Like that is a thing like that we've seen. We've seen all of these videos released, and he's still cheering for them, and for that reason, Smug wins round 2.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is highway robber.
Hey, bailiff, do you want to enforce the court at all?
He doesn't.
Here?
This guy's
I mean,
not
like
doing anything.
we have a participant in
I
this
have
court. He's
seen-
taking
He's
over
still
the
out of
court.
control.
I
Look
have
at-
seen
does
judges
nothing.
come to
Still
a
asleep.
conclusion without evidence
Unbelievable.
before, but this...
I'm gonna just win this right here.
Wow, good luck in round 3.
Exhibit
I don't
1.
care. I'm playing under Rudy against Rocky because
still out of
Trump likes
control.
him. Rocky.
Well, it's fiction. The narco terrorists are real.
I'm winning it here. Exhibit 1. Ron Filipowski, release the second strike video. All caps, exclamation
That's
point.
literally what every Democrat
There you
in
go.
Congress is saying. There's nothing
Release the second
harebrained
strike
about
video.
it.
Okay, what's your play, Holmes?
Okay, well, I'm going to make the game a part of the game. I'm going to go to exhibit...
This is cinema.
I'm going to go to exhibit 12. I sat down with former Congressman Walsh Freedom.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
To discuss the Walsh Promise. This is, of course, Smoking Joe Walsh. That we're talking
A
about.
branded thing.
The Walsh Promise, as well as the need for a large coalition as possible to remove MAGA from power, and then links to his Substack.
Damn, it's over. I won so hard. Release the second strike video, dude. It's a
No,
done deal.
dude, he sat down with Joe Walsh as if it was a serious thing, talking about... No, I'm not kidding you. Steve Schmidt, at one point, was one of the most formidable and serious people in politics. This man is sitting down with somebody who could be in a mental institution and branding his... whatever he's doing
And
on
the bailiff
Substack.
continues
the
to do nothing.
Walsh
Does nothing.
Promise.
Like it's 50,
and like that's a thing?
Like it's 54-40 or fight.
Can the judge talk in the courtroom?
Please.
Is that allowed?
I'm not sure.
Wow.
You know, what strikes me in all of the stuff here from Steve Schmidt and bringing in Smoking Joe Walsh, what I really appreciate about it is how all of these Never Trump guys seem to have 9 lives. And every year they come back with some new branded thing. Now Steve Schmidt has this thing called The Warning. And then he also has this new super PAC, which I assume is not the Lincoln Project.
No, it's different.
Which is now a new super PAC. And then Joe Walsh also has another thing called The Promise.
Yeah.
When the fuck did that get started? It's like every year they roll out a new thing.
As long as there's a funding mechanism.
And like the other thing I loved about that tweet, Holmes, and you don't deserve to win because you were an asshole in this court. You're an asshole in this court, and so, you know, I mean, I want to dismiss your case with prejudice, but I can't deny the fact that, like, in the tweet, it's not even a tweet, it's on Blue Sky, but like the tagging of their handles on Blue Sky. Can we put it back up? It's at Walsh Freedom Blue Sky .social to discuss, quote, the Walsh Promise. What the fuck is the Walsh Promise?
There's nothing but acronyms.
It's just all tags and acronyms and bullshit, and just that offends me to my core, and I think it's an abuse of the internet, and for that reason, you win. Reluctantly, you win.
As I have always said, this judge and jury is just
shut it.
right on. They're
Shut it.
smart. It is a whip.
I don't believe that
And
for a second.
I thank them for their jurisprudence. Can I give you one more, dude? Just because
You
this
got
is the
another
one
one?
that I didn't play.
Okay.
But because I wanted to stay in genre.
Because the bailiff's still asleep.
I'm the judge next time.
Can I bring up Exhibit 8? Scott Jennings is a Nazi who shills for a fascist.
gosh.
Are you kidding
Why
me?
didn't you play that in round 1?
Scott Jennings is a Nazi? What in the world is he thinking? Dude, he's gone off the rails.
I don't know, but they work together.
Can we put? Can
They
we?
worked.
Right.
Can we put
he
it
was
back?
just another guy in the office. Are you kidding me?
Okay. Here's
What
just another.
What's going on here?
Another.
That's the best part. They work together.
Here's what I think is the best part in this.
Insane.
I feel bad for the freelance graphic designer that Steve Schmidt found off Fiverr, but I don't. I really do not recommend white text on a white gradient background.
It's awful.
You can't even fucking read what the graphic says,
Can't see it.
Steve.
Can't see
Steve, get a new graphic designer, pal.
Well, you're going to have to pay for that. And that's not going to build any steamboat chalets.
Scott,
It's not generational wealth.
Scott Jennings is the Nazi. Dude, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
It's something else, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a lot to work with. There was more. That was the one that I felt compelled. All right, so we have a great interview in front of you. He is a Senate candidate from the great state of Michigan, which very well could control the United States Senate. And this, I really mean it. It's been a long time since we've won a Senate race in Michigan. But as you will hear, we're well positioned to do so this time, and it might very well come down to this. He's a great candidate, Mike Rogers. I want to welcome to the program a guy who is about to make all of our hopes and dreams come true in the great state of Michigan, running for Senate with some success here for the first time since Spence Abraham, I believe, is going to happen next year. Mike Rogers, how are you, sir?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me. And you are right.
Yes.
Some 30 years in the making.
It is 30 years.
Putting a Republican back in the state of Michigan. Yeah. Which is crazy because we're a 50-50 state even at best. And we haven't been able to kind of square that circle since 1994.
We've worn a fair amount of that over the years. It's always one of those states that is close enough where you should win and something happens at the end and we're just sort of come up a touch short. But I am absolutely convinced that this time around is going to be different. We know you as a candidate. We've known you for a while, but it seems to me like the stars are aligning. Your campaign looks strong. You've got what appears to be unanimous support within the party to get this thing done.
Yeah, it is. It's a different day. And my wife and I were talking not that long ago. If we'd have lost by 3 points in 24, been pretty easy to say we got our fannies kicked. Time to move on. But 0.3 of 1%.
I mean, it's so close.
Oh my God, that's when we said we can't. Oh my God, we got to do this again. We lost by 232 votes per county.
Yeah, that's wild.
But who's counting?
Yeah.
I mean, my God. I mean, it's such a small number, and just 9,000 people could have flipped this race.
Well, for sure. And the next campaign compounds on the effort, obviously, that you had in the first one. You got to know a whole bunch of people you didn't know before, and now you're getting to know people you didn't meet last time.
Exactly. And, we shored up some places. The Michigan party had been fractured for years. Yeah. We experienced a little bit of that in the last election. We were doing our best to kind of bail it together. It's so much different this time. So people saw that we could win. They got to know who we are. All that part has come in together. We have people who were still giving us the stink eye after the primary who are now on board, part of the team, part of our team captains. Huge difference. And I think that's going to be the difference. It's a difference we need, but it's also the difference that will make us win in next November.
Yeah, it's a unique opportunity, too. An open seat. Turns out Democrats are having a little issues with the primary.
Oh, I'm sad for them.
Isn't that? It's heartbreaking.
I do. I've been through it. It's really hard. It makes me tear up with, maybe joy, but also maybe that I'm feeling bad for them. But, couldn't happen to a finer bunch of people.
It couldn't. Yeah. It seems like they've got an awful lot of, it's broken out in the open in D.C., but it's happening in states all over the place. We just talked about it last episode, about a real lack of consensus within the Democratic Party about what constitutes a kind of candidate that can hold their banner these days. And I think some of the consequences you can see spilling out in Michigan, where you've got these radical sense of ideas that are trying to knit together and different candidates. They seem to be on a very different page. Meanwhile, you're sort of driving a very consistent message that you drove last time around, except adding pieces to it, the economy and all of the global events that have been happening here over the last year.
Yeah, no, and it's and you're exactly right. In their primary, it is everything that made them lose before. Right. They're all doubling down.
It's like a race to find out.
It is one, in this by his own words, wants to Mondani, Michigan.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
that's a hell of a bumper sticker.
Yeah. We can't wait to print it for him. We have another one who believes that the California EV mandates, which would eliminate people who make gas engines, voted in support of that.
Should be great from Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. Do that. And then the last one.
Good thing Michigan doesn't have anything to do with cars, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at all. And then the last one is kind of the leading the charge on putting men in women's sports and women's locker rooms.
Right.
All three of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's unbelievable.
Again, I keep poking myself. Is this can't be right? Right? There's got to be one sensible. Nope. They're not sensible.
No.
And they're so out of line. What people forget about Michigan, even when we were considered a blue state where people were saying, you can't win or write it off, it's a working class state. Yeah. We build things. People work for a living. They're proud of that. That work ethic is second to none. And so when you get those folks who literally, one came from California, one, I think the last stop was Chicago, Well, they're coming into the state and bringing East and West Coast Democrat craziness to the state. I think what they're going to find out here pretty quickly is Michiganders don't appreciate that.
Yeah, it sounds like their priorities are way out of whack. And I know that you're all over the state talking to a lot of different people. I'm wondering what you're hearing about most. Is it affordability? Is it safety? Maybe it's both of them at the same time.
Yeah, and it is a little bit of both of those. But, the Democrats have been charged. This is what I think people also don't understand about our state, this cycle. This is a change election for Michigan,
Yeah,
which is very different than most people who are saying, we're trying to defend something.
Yeah.
We're not defending anything. The Democrats have been in the Senate for 32 years. They, two of them, thinking the same way, talking the same way, and voting the same way. And the Democrats have been in charge of Lansing for the last 10 years. And what happened? 30,000 manufacturing jobs lost. The fact that we used to be a part of the defense industrial base, building everything from ships to submarine components to used to have an air base, all that's gone, right? That's what you get when you put Democrats in charge. We used to have top 10 education in the country. We're 44th in the country. And so what we're talking about is things like, what is the opportunity? A lot of people are worried. There's in the north, they're skewing a little older. They're worried about their kids walking in or grandkids and saying, can't stay, got to go. And there's no opportunity here. So we're talking about affordability. It is an issue. But if you look at the policies that came out of Lansing and then the last 4 years of the Democrats, supported by all three of the folks in the Democrat primary, it's been horrendous for people trying to afford, their weekly meals or their daily meals and their weekly budgets. But and they sense that something's got to change. And so we're the change agent. We're going to change for the first time in 32 years. We're going to put a Republican in, who, by the way, is going to be able to work with a Republican governor and walk into a Republican president and say, this is what we need for the great state of Michigan. Can't do that. Why would we pass that opportunity up?
So for the people that don't really know your whole background and resume, both in the House, where you are on Energy and Commerce, which is basically the committee of jurisdiction on damn near everything.
Exactly. We certainly thought so.
And your experience in the FBI. How do we turn this around, and what sort of experience do you feel like you bring to the table at this moment?
You mean this as in America, or this as in Michigan, or maybe even both?
Yeah, Michigan and both.
So, I believe there's some certain things that we can do. Like a great example, and I talk about this on the campaign trail a lot. There were 5 states that were listed to build part of the Golden Dome, which is the missile defense system for the United States. Michigan wasn't one of them. And I believe, and I tell people, and I passionately believe this, you send me to the United States Senate, we'll be on the list. I will get us on the list. We're going to build things for that program. We have a burgeoning aerospace industry in Michigan. Same with the other defense industrial base. We used to have an air base. We used to have a sub-tracking base, all gone. We used to build tanks. That doesn't happen in Michigan. We used to build those components, as I said. Guess what? All of those things happen. They just don't happen in Michigan anymore. And I argue it's because you haven't had a senator who is willing to use the leverage of the United States Senate to keep us in the game. I will get us back in the game, and we're going to start building things in Michigan again. And so I think that's one way that we can revitalize Michigan manufacturing.
That's what federal representation looks like.
Right.
It's amazing. We've gone through a couple of decades here where I think a lot of people, particularly on the Democratic side, run for office to sell books and show up on talk shows and do whatever. But as evidenced by what you're talking about, the goal of the United States senators is to try to figure out how to leverage federal resources to create jobs in your state and give your state the best opportunity to do that. It's been utterly lost on Democrats representing Michigan for as long as I can remember.
Well, think about where Midwest Democrats are, and the 3 Democrats in my primary. They're more concerned about New York and California than they are Michigan. And I'll tell you what, workers get this. They realize that Democrats have been walking down the south part of our state with their finger up while they're walking from New York to California. And think about it, the senator we just elected missed the most important vote probably of her first part of her career because she wanted to be on television. Remember this?
Yes.
Right? And now
incredible.
She just releases a video calling for insubordination with the U.S. military. It's shocking. And why? Because they're more concerned about the coasts than they are the state of Michigan. My argument to my folks back home is, let's put a Michigan guy in the United States Senate to worry about Michigan. And that's what I'm going to do. And I think there's so much good that comes with that that we can do. And as I say, it'd be great to work with a Republican governor for a change, who, by the way, for 32 years hasn't been able to call a Republican senator to get something done. Guess what? This is our opportunity. Let's do it.
No, it's very well said. I mean, I think the challenge, obviously, in the midterms, particularly in some of these purple states that are highly targeted in presidential elections, is there's a tendency to kind of take the eye off the ball in terms of the intensity of that. And I think what I hear you saying is the intensity is still there because nothing's changed in Michigan in terms of its representation. So people are still plugged in here. And people are ready to go.
And the biggest trick is not to get sucked into this Democrats that they were the party of affordability.
That's the wildest thing of all time.
My Lord.
Ridiculous.
And they're blaming the Obamacare, the Unaffordable Care Act, on Republicans.
It's incredible.
It is crazy. Now, the sad part, and I think in modern politics, is if you say it enough, I guess people can believe it. So our challenge is to make sure they understand this was a gift given to you by Democrats. And the fact that they're out there saying, well, these premiums are outrageously high. Did you not hear the debate during the thing? There was only one way these premiums were going under the Democrat plan, and that's up. And same with affordability. Now they're trying to say, oh, you don't care about people's cost of, fill in the blank. 9% inflation under Biden that you supported gladly? I don't remember you even talking about the price of eggs a year ago.
They pretended like it
didn't exist. Now it's all about, they're the only ones that care. I mean, this is such nonsense.
It is really hard. I'm so glad to hear you say that because I think there's a tendency, particularly in any place that's nationalized at all, to try to take dictation from the Democratic Party on this stuff. And all of a sudden, affordability is a concern of Democrats up here. I mean, I thought I lost my damn mind in October and November as they're talking about affordability and Obamacare as a Republican problem. It's like, I mean, I don't know. That's like sunfish brain level recall over what we've been through.
Completely.
But on the other side of that, we got to drive that home.
We have to say it. Right. So when we talk about when we are engaged about premiums, I am very quick. And the good news is I was on the Energy and Commerce Committee trying to drive a free market approach to keeping your prices down and getting better care and keeping the government out of your pocket. We did not prevail. However, those free market principles are still there. So we talk about the fact this is what they gave you. It doesn't work. And by the way, if you recall, they wanted to charge union households a Cadillac tax
I remember it.
for a negotiated health care. Are you kidding me? In Michigan. And guess what? All those guys, they looked at California, looked at New York, and they were giving thumbs up, so they gave a thumbs up too. They screwed the very people who probably put them in office at that time. It was shocking to me. And of course, the whole Democrat thing was, well, we'll get rid of the Cadillac tax later, which they ended up doing because Republicans took over.
For one reason alone, that they lost
power. It was really crazy. This Medicare, I'm looking forward to this fight. Because they're going to have to own. This should be an albatross around their neck. That they are causing this hundreds of % increase in some cases in these premiums, and they have no answer. Their only answer is, we'll just give it more money. And so you can't pick your doctor, and you get bad service, and you got to get in line. Give more money for that.
I mean, one of the things I really like about your candidacy is what you just demonstrated there is that you know what you're talking about. Like you've lived these debates, you've understood what it is that, it turns out that just subsidizing insurance companies doesn't give them the ability to lower your health care premiums. In fact,
they'll actually raise them.
Right. As they do year in and year out. But I think a lot of our folks out there are nervous about these debates, right? I mean, they see polling, they see people concerned about the cost of healthcare. Of course they're concerned about it, but the reason you've got it is because you had a unanimous Democratic control that forced it down our throat, and now it's our opportunity to do something different and actually help people.
I mean, I've been saying at home, if you don't want to cliff it, because I don't think that's fair to working families who had this ACA benefit given to them because Obamacare was failing, to put it all on them. I say transition out, but let them know we're transitioning out. And then I love the idea of giving that money so these people goes in their pocket, they manage the cost. You're not sending it to the insurance company. that's a winner all day long, and people will understand that. We just have to say it in unison. We got to get our kind of act together to be talking about it, because I know a lot of people don't like to talk about this stuff, and I get why. But I think it's really important for us to engage in this. I mean, I think it's really important, because our answer is winning. By the way, you had your chance.
Yeah.
You gave us this monster, and it's our time. We have solutions.
Right.
That's the key. We have solutions. And by the way, it puts you in charge.
Yeah.
Right. And transparency at hospitals and other things. All the things we've been calling for 20 years.
No kidding.
Yeah. This is our chance.
This is
to
an
do
opportunity to do that. Of course, you have a military background, military family.
Yeah.
Very proud Rogers household of all of that. It also gives you a unique perspective on both our national defense and our international affairs and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people that run for Senate are, they're just trying to learn this on the fly. Yeah. You're a guy who's had a lot of experience in this.
Yeah, and it's a big part of my life. And, we're very proud. My son is fourth generation Rogers family that served in the military. My wife, actually after 9/11, was inspired, signed up, ended up serving in Iraq.
Wow.
Yeah, in our family, we say she's tougher than woodpecker lips. And that's tough. It's tough. She's tough.
That's
you don't want to
pretty
mess
tough.
with her. Trust me, you don't want to mess with her. She's a tough one. And her father served and was retired Air Force. So it's just kind of a thing in our family. So I was proud when my son decided to do it. We don't push anyone into it. But my really proud moment was my daughter, who, by the way, was not cut out for the military, and that's okay. She decided she didn't want to be left out, so she joined AmeriCorps.
Oh, is that right?
All on her own. She came home, told me one day, I signed up for AmeriCorps. I'm not going to let my brother be the only one doing it.
Service-minded family.
She was great. And so she went out and served on a military base, helping young troops get connected to health services that they hadn't experienced in their life before, a lot of these guys. So she did her bit for America, too. So we're pretty proud of that. And it doesn't disqualify you not having military service, but I do think having that perspective is really helpful.
In the Senate particularly.
Yeah, to go in. When you look at the world, I've never seen the world in a more dangerous, precarious place in my lifetime. It used to be the certainty of, you knew who the bad guys were and you knew who the good guys were.
Right.
Boy, that's getting confusing by the day.
Right.
And add in there, cyber. Which is a whole new dynamic of the battlefield, and how technology, and I've been in technology for the last 10 years, how that technology and drones and other things has fundamentally changed the battlefield. And what that means for us, America, preparing our military for this next phase of what combat's going to look like. And it's very, very different. And you worry that are people keeping up?
Yeah. And what's wild to me is that the problems are getting so much more complicated, and yet Democrats are still stuck back here saying, you know what, maybe we shouldn't give cops as much money. Maybe we should make it harder for them to do their jobs. Maybe we should support criminals instead of people who are actually the victims of crime. And I know that's a big issue in Michigan, because you got to support the cops.
Yeah, I mean, we've had folks want to defund the police, and the police are bad. And by the way, when you want to Mondami, Michigan, that also means that you want social workers hugging violent robbers, and hoping that they surrender their firearm to you.
People take a lot of solace in that.
You see a guy with a clipboard, that's pretty intimidating. I don't know.
Hey, talk me through this. This kid's got a gun to my head.
Exactly. Let me talk to you. And by the way, page 3 gets a lot more interesting, so bear with me.
Just if you could initial at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing these guys, listen, I was a street agent in Chicago. Listen, there's police officers for a reason.
Right.
Yes.
And you got to support them. Their job is hard on a good day, let alone when you take away their protections and you make them the bad guys. And here's what worries me about where I see the Democrats. So this video literally was calling for insubordination.
Yes.
A lot of people made it about Trump because that's where the Democrats wanted to. That's not what they said, right? And so as a young military officer, you can't answer 58 questions when you're ready to give an order to make sure that we accomplish the mission and people come home safe. You got to go, right? It is good order, military order, that survives, and why the United States military is the greatest military, I think, in the world.
Yep.
And so you got to protect that. These are elected officials basically raising questions and then saying you might be prosecuted if you follow these orders. You're 20 years old.
Yeah.
Somebody's telling you to do something that's probably pretty hard.
Yeah.
Right? Do I have to think, oh my God, the Democrats are going to prosecute me if I follow? This is the most dangerous, irresponsible thing. But think about it. It's on the heels of what they just did to law enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay to go after law enforcement. They're the bad ones. They're the ones that are causing the problems.
ICE
Oh,
and
by now,
everything else.
ICE is just the next law enforcement agency. That chaos against good order, law and order, is dangerous. That's who this this is not your grandmother's Democrat Party anymore. These people have lost their minds. Oh, and by the way, go ahead and have biological male compete against a young woman who has spent her whole life trying to be an excellent competitor. Oh, by the way, they can go in the locker room. We just had yesterday in Monroe, Michigan, a press conference because this drives me insane. This young volleyball team is competing against a team just outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan. This is Monroe. They didn't tell the parents, didn't tell the school. 5 minutes before the meet starts, they find out, weren't instructed, find out there's a male on the female team of the opposition. And oh, by the way, going in the locker room.
Oh my gosh.
Their own locker room. And they had, in this particular case, they were all sharing a locker room, which is not normal even for competitors, but still.
That's insane.
And the courage of this young woman who yesterday got up to the microphone and told people why it was wrong.
Good for her.
I mean, I was so proud of that young woman.
No kidding.
I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but run for governor one day. That's what I want you to do. I mean, think about what it took for her. She's a
lot of
sophomore
guts
to come up and have the guts to talk about it. But the fact that she has to do it, that Democrats have lost their minds.
They put a high school senior in the position of having to defend something as basic.
Even worse, she was a sophomore.
Oh, wow.
Think how hard that is. It's by the way, there was a bank of cameras and a big group. Can you imagine as a sophomore? I mean, I would have been,
oh man,
in the back in a fetal position, going, "Oh my God, please don't turn those things on."
Changing in the corner.
She had a lot of courage. I was so impressed with her. But think about this is what we're trying to respond to on behalf of the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
What?
It's so out of whack.
It's so crazy.
You just have to defend being normal, which is
common sense is
gone.
gone.
And in the Midwest, no less.
Right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think about that in Michigan. Honestly, you wouldn't. I mean,
no.
And 10 years ago, would we even be talking about this?
No. Well, you'd think you'd lost your mind. You certainly wouldn't think you'd have to run a campaign against something like that.
No, exactly. Or have a press conference on a very cold day in Monroe, Michigan. I mean, you're just unbelievable.
So I assume for Christmas you're going to take a day off, maybe have a little eggnog, and then get hit back on the campaign trail?
We'll probably take a day and a half, although even it felt like we never stopped, I have to tell you. So, you get done.
Oh, I know. You got no
You
break.
kind of self-evaluate, like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
We're not doing this again.
Yep.
And then, of course, Peters drops out.
Yeah.
Senator Gary Peters from Michigan drops out. And
All of a
the
sudden you
only
got the
good
White
news
House
is
on
I don't
board.
think he told anybody. He just dropped out.
Yep.
Created this Democrat primary, which they have not had. You're going to be interested in this date since 1994.
Is that right?
And
Is that Stabenow?
It was that was Spence Abraham won that race.
Oh, that was that was the Spence.
The
Abraham.
Republican.
Yeah, the last time they had.
The last time they had a primary.
Oh, well, that's an interesting wrinkle.
An excellent data point.
Little factoids there.
Parallels. We could get our trivia down in the Michigan Senate. I love that. So, listen, if people want to help out, where do they go?
Rogers, ROGERS for Senate.com. And to me, if you're looking to make a difference in a race, if it's time or it's money, and we got outraised 5-1 last time, we cannot do that again. And came within 0.3 of a percent. Did I mention that? 0.3%. Did I mention 232 votes? Just seeing if you got that. Yeah. This is the state where you can invest something that I think will change the makeup of the Senate for some time to come.
No question.
This is the place to make that investment because it will make it tough. Because they just count on this seat.
Yeah.
We can always win this.
They bake it into the cake.
Yeah.
And with 6-year terms, you really do change what the next cycle looks like and the cycle after that by holding it down. And I know, listen, if you get the job, you're going to keep the job because we've seen you up here. We've seen the work that you've done. You've been a hell of a representation of Michigan in general. So
thank you.
Anything we can do, you let us know.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. If you have couches out there, make sure when people sit in them, you push on their shoulders so the coins fall out. Scoop up the coins, send them along to Rogers for Senate. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge. We love it. Mike Rogers, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Boy, he came so close last time. I mean, 0.3%, 200-something votes in every single county in the state. It seems like he has renewed his focus, and this guy is laser focused on a change election in that state that's been run by Democrats for so long. And why not try a Republican? I mean, it feels like that's a pretty good message.
I agree. And you know what I love is our first two segments. He knows, and he talks about it. You know, I mean, we feel compelled to talk about all this because you're not going to get it anywhere, but he's talking about it. And I like a candidate like that.
Yep.
You know, they know the history of all of this. And we talked about it in the interview. It was great. It was great. Help him out if you can. We're going to be paying close attention to that race all the way through, and we're going to get a lot more candidates in front of you, different races and different people, get to know them a little bit. You can find out if they're douches or not. I think Mike cleared that bar by a long shot. Mm-hmm. He's just an absolutely terrific guy, and I can't wait to see what the success that brings in that campaign. Anyway, fellas, I think we did it.
Yeah, I think so. Absolute banger of an episode, gentlemen. Thank you so much to Mike Rogers, and thank you to listeners. Remember, if you have not yet, go to the YouTube, hit that subscribe because it's more fun in video. So until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Friday. Stay ruthless.